Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani Kleklas Vana Ve Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. This is your portal into Africa's potent stories. This broadcast spans leadership, conflict, diplomacy, and money across the continent. We begin in Uganda, reflecting on longevity in power and contested reforms. The journey continues to the Central African Republic and its post-election questions. Then to Sudan, where the state returns to Khartoum after years of war. South Africa's global positioning through BRICS naval drills is next. We close with Zimbabwe current affairs, coming with Talent Gore, also spotlighting iShowSpeed's stream visit, and also some essential economic developments shaping Ghana and South Africa in the show. Don't miss Africa Good Morning, DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTV Africa, that's Africa with a K, is where you can find us. That's NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Ready to be entertained? We've got you. GOTV's got more shows just for you.
That's right.
More movies?
Yes. Jackpot.
More kids shows?
Of course.
And more football than anywhere else.
No doubt about it.
Yes, we've got more. And we've got you. Pay for your current GOTV package and we'll upgrade you to the next highest package. Get more with GOTV. At home or on the go with GOTV Stream. GOTV. Love it.
This week's decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you'll not find anywhere else. That is the agenda.
This is Africa Good Morning. Very shortly, we're going to be breaking down what is going on in Uganda as they are set to head to their elections. But we're going to do something a little different before we get into our top stories. We're going to have a look at the weather so that we can get into the stories and maintain some sense of flow, because we're looking at a lot of current affairs with a lot of top developments coming from Africa. So before we get into all of that, let's have a look at the weather. All right, it's time for us to get into the top stories as promised on Africa Good Morning. Ugandans under 40 who form more than 3/4 of the population have known only one president. Yoweri Museveni took power in 1986 after an armed uprising and at 81 is seeking a 7th term. His rule has brought prolonged stability, economic growth averaging over 6% for a decade, expanded primary education and reduced HIV levels through a strong anti-AIDS campaign. Critics argue he has stayed in power by weakening institutions, sidelining opponents and changing constitutional rules. Museveni once condemned African leaders who overstay, but Uganda removed presidential term limits in 2005 and age limits in 2017, changes that cleared his path to remain in office. His rise followed studies in Tanzania, involvement in the fight against Idi Amin, and the guerrilla war that brought his national resistance movement to power. Over time, dissent has faced arrest, court raids, media pressure, and forceful policing. Supporters cite stability, refugee hosting, and investment deals with China, the UK, and the UAE. Museveni presents himself as an energetic, paternal, and indispensable, insisting Uganda is secure and his party apparently unstoppable. The Central African Republic's presidential election delivered a familiar outcome, with President Faustin-Archange Touadéra securing a third term by a wide margin. While the result signals continuity, it has deepened questions about democratic legitimacy. Opposition candidates rejected the vote, citing irregularities, intimidation, and an uneven political field shaped by constitutional changes in 2023 that removed term limits. Touadéra, a former academic and Prime Minister, first came to power in 2016, promising reconciliation after years of turmoil. His presidency has coincided with fewer large-scale rebel offensives and the return of state authority to some previously ungoverned areas, offering relative calm to a war-weary population. However, this stability relies heavily on foreign forces, notably Russian-linked troops, Rwandan soldiers, and UN peacekeepers, raising concerns over sovereignty, accountability, and human rights. Despite vast natural resources, Central African Republic remains among the world's poorest countries, with limited growth, scarce jobs, weak infrastructure, and unreliable services. Touadéra's re-election reinforces alignment with Russia and reflects shifting global influence, where security support comes with fewer political conditions. Whether this model delivers long-term nation building or entrenches dependency remains unresolved. In our next story, Sudan's military-led government has returned to Khartoum after nearly 3 years operating from Port Sudan following the army's recapture of the capital last March. Prime Minister Kamil Idris announced that the government of hope, quote-unquote, is back and will focus on restoring services for residents who endured years of conflict. Civil war erupted in 2023 when fighting broke out between the army and the rapid support forces, forcing the government's departure and subjecting civilians to a brutal occupation marked by looting and seized homes. About 5 million people fled Khartoum at the height of the fighting, and much of the city lies in ruins, with basic services barely functioning. Idris pledged efforts to improve electricity, water, healthcare, and education, and declared 2026 a year of peace. Despite at least 150,000 deaths and 12 million displaced nationwide, both sides have been accused of atrocities, while international mediation has failed and foreign powers continue supplying weapons. The UN describes Sudan's situation as the world's worst humanitarian crisis, underscoring the scale of rebuilding still required. The last of our top stories. South Africa has defended its week-long naval exercises with Russia, Iran, China, and other BRICS partners, calling them essential for safeguarding maritime economic activities. The Will for Peace 2026 drills off Cape Town began shortly after the United States seized a Venezuela-linked Russian oil tanker, heightening geopolitical tensions. South African officials insist the exercises were planned long in advance and are not directed against any country. Military commanders described the maneuvers as a demonstration of collective resolve in an increasingly complex maritime environment aimed at securing shipping lanes in the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. The expanded BRICS bloc now includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia, with several members participating and others observing. Warships from China, Iran, Russia, and UAE and South Africa are involved. The drills have drawn scrutiny from Washington, which has accused BRICS of anti-American policies and warned of potential tariffs. South Africa has previously faced criticism for similar exercises with Russia and China and for its close ties with Moscow, but officials stress cooperation, not confrontation, remains the objective. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be joined by Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report, including iShowSpeed stream in the country. Stay with us. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week, we bring you you the TikTok of the week, because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take. It's time for us to cross over to our correspondent in Zimbabwe, and this is for the first time this year. Talent Gore makorokoto egoreja.
Tamkadukana mamkal makorokoto egoreja to everyone who's watching.
It's good to have you here. We start with a rather harrowing update, Talent. Human-wildlife conflict caused 62 deaths and 81 injuries in Zimbabwe last year.
Yes, Zimbabwe recorded 62 deaths, 81 injuries, and the loss of 801 livestock in 2025 as human-wildlife conflict escalated sharply, a situation the Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority says is being fueled by climate change and intensifying pressure on water and grazing resources. ZimParks acting spokesperson Timiraishe Mudzingwa said conflict incidents jumped by 26% from 1,654 cases in 2024 to 2,090 in 2025. He warned that shifting weather patterns are disrupting ecosystems and pushing wildlife closer to human settlements. He also said that the trend mirrors a wider regional and global pattern. While the number of injuries fell slightly from 90 in 2024 to 81 in 2025, fatalities rose from 49 to 62, highlighting what ZimParks described as the growing severity of encounters. Losses of cattle, goats, and other livestock more than doubled from 362 to 801, deepening economic hardship for families in affected areas. And these areas, the affected areas are usually Kariba, Mbire, Chiredzi, Binga, Wange, Urungwe, Nyami. These remain the worst affected areas, with hyenas, crocodiles, and elephants accounting for most reported incidences. So usually during this time of the year, we usually get statistics from the ZimParks alerting us or letting the nation know on the human conflicts that happened during the previous year in the country. And most of the fatalities, they're usually caused by hyenas, elephants, crocodiles, and much more. So this is quite sad that we still have to experience such high numbers of human wildlife conflict, especially in those areas that do have national parks around them.
Thank you very much, Talent. And I'm afraid your next story doesn't get any better. Sadly, an American tourist died after plunging into Victoria Falls Gorge.
Yes, an American tourist died after plunging into the Victoria Falls Gorge, and apparently there was a joint operation to look for his body between the Zimbabwe Republic Police and the Zambian police, and they later discovered that body, and the body of an American tourist, which is believed to have slipped and fallen into the 108-meter deep Victoria Falls Gorge on Monday, has been recovered. A joint team of Zimbabwean and Zambian police officers carried out the recovery operation after the body was spotted lodging between rocks in the gorge last week. The alarm was raised by Victoria Falls Lodge on Tuesday when one of its guests, an American citizen, failed to return after crossing the Victoria Falls Bridge into Zambia. Search efforts intensified after the body was slightly was sighted in the gorge, prompting authorities to shift from a rescue mission to a recovery operation. Zambian police later positively identified the body as that of the missing American tourist who has not been named yet. Investigations into the tourist death are still continuing. They're still doing investigations to find out what really happened to the American tourist.
Now, we know that Zimbabwe itself has battled with several issues with regards to floods and drought. However, in this particular instant, the country is giving aid as Malawi is battling floods.
Yes, well, this is not the first time that Zimbabwe has actually helped neighboring countries when they're experiencing flood. So this time around, the country has dispatched a major consignment of humanitarian aid to Malawi to assist thousands of families displaced by devastating flash floods. The aid was officially handed over to Malawi's ambassador to Zimbabwe, Peter Namatanga, by Vice President Kembo Mohadi at a ceremony which was held in Harare. VP Mohadi said Zimbabwe's intervention was driven not only by humanitarian need, but also by the deep and long-standing ties between the two nations. He said that the response today is not guided only by humanitarian consideration, but also by the deep historical, cultural, and social ties that bind Zimbabwe and Malawi. He also indicated that the two countries share a common colonial past and a long history of people-to-people interactions. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Amon Murira, said the initiative reflects Zimbabwe's pan-African values and commitment to regional resilience, according to Malawi's Department of Disaster Management Affairs. More than 32,000 people have been affected by the floods, with many in urgent need of food, shelter, and recovery assistance. Zimbabwe's intervention underscores solidarity between the two nations and highlights its commitment to regional cooperation in the face of escalating climate-related disasters.
Now, talent in a moment that made all of Africa pay attention. iShowSpeed visited Harare and he brought the city to a standstill. Tell us about it.
Yes, iShowSpeed brought Harare to a standstill when he was doing his tour. He got to the airport and he went straight to Mbuyane statue, where he was allowed and where he interacted with musicians. And a Sangoma who was there, who actually predicted his future, who told him his future. After that, he also went to Trabablas, and as you can see in that video, he was told to lift that attire. I'm not really sure of the cages, but as you can see, he was struggling. But he was doing that alongside Africa's strongest woman, who's Chido. You can see here just besides Aishal. And it was quite a show when he had the opportunity. He actually managed to lift that water up. After that, he went to different places. And as you can see in that video also, he met his lookalike, who is one of Zimbabwe's YouTubers, and he was sensational. Everyone loved what Johnny did. He actually showed iShowSpeed, and he was acting like him all the way through. And as you can tell, iShowSpeed was quite impressed because he had the opportunity to actually exchange his jersey with him, and also gave him the opportunity to wear his phone, which is something that he really does. So it was quite a show. And as you can see, he's enjoying himself. He's being taught how to do traditional dances by Zimbabwe's influencer, content creator rather, Chief Ben. So he had quite a time. And he went around Harare. He went to Highlands Park. He went to Queen of Hearts. He was interacting with fans. And also he went to KFC, where he learned how to tell this beautiful lady who was in the show that she is beautiful in Zimbabwe. He had the opportunity to tell her that Wakanaka, and people are saying that iShowSpeed's Zimbabwe's stream is actually one of so far. So we are quite proud. I don't know what others think, but I think he did well. I think the Zimbabwean content creators and influencers, they actually did well in curating his itinerary right here in Zimbabwe. And as you can see, there's Chido, the strongest woman in Africa.
Well, Talent, I have to say that even just listening to you go through that story was entertaining. I'm going to go back and look at that stream. And iShowSpeed has been going across Africa. He was in South Africa, he was in Eswatini, Rwanda, Kenya recently. And it's been a wonderful experience, particularly also for Americans who seem to have a limited understanding or knowledge of Africa and its development and the talent and beauty that it beholds. And it was certainly lovely to see Zimbabwe at its best. Thank you for bringing us the Zimbabwe Report, Talent.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good to have you on the show. This is Africa Good Morning. We're going to take a quick break before we return with economic news.
Ready to be entertained? We've got you. GOTV's got more shows just for you.
That's right.
More movies?
Yes. Jackpot.
More kids shows?
Of course.
And more football than anywhere else.
No doubt about it.
Yes, we've got more. And we've got you. Pay for your current GOTV package and we'll upgrade you to the next highest package. Get more with GOTV. At home or on the go with GOTV Stream. GOTV. Love it.
All right, it's time for us to get back into business. Ghana's government says it paid $1.47 billion last year to clear legacy energy sector debts, restoring credibility and easing power shortages linked to unpaid obligations. The finance ministry said disciplined financial management enabled repayments while securing future commitments. Over $597 million was paid to the World Bank, fully restoring a partial risk guarantee established in 2015 to protect nearly $8 billion in private energy investment. Additional payments included $480 million to ENI and Vitol for gas invoices tied to the Sankofa gas project, and about $393 million to independent power producers, including Car Powership and Sen Power Generation. The power sector has struggled with outages driven by accumulated arrears, which President John Dramani Mahama pledged to reduce from $2.5 billion. Independent producers described the clearance as a major milestone for restoring financial stability and operational confidence. The government has also renegotiated agreements with power producers and is working with Tullow Oil and Jubilee Field partners on a payment roadmap. Officials insist the era of uncontrolled debt accumulation is over, signaling renewed efforts to stabilize Ghana's energy supply. And in the last of our stories, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is in the United Arab Emirates for Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week 2026, positioning the country in global climate and investment discussions amid heightened attention on its BRICS ties. Invited by UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Ramaphosa is holding bilateral talks, delivering a keynote at the Youth for Sustainability Forum, and attending the Zayed Sustainability Prize Awards. He will also join panels on global energy futures and infrastructure investment across the global south. The visit aims to deepen South Africa-UAE economic relations and attract capital into renewable energy, logistics, transport and power systems. The annual gathering, themed Nexus of Next, All Systems Go, brings together political leaders, investors and civil society to shape cooperation on sustainability and climate resilient development. Ramaphosa is expected to promote a just energy transition that balances decarbonization with growth and jobs. He is accompanied by senior ministers, underscoring the diplomatic and economic weight of the trip as South Africa seeks fresh investment and stronger partnerships. That brings us to the end of the broadcast. This has been Africa Good Morning on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, Network Media Hub on YouTube, as well as NTV Africa on YouTube and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. That is Africa with a K. We return tomorrow as Rorisa Mokojwe joins us for the first time this year, delivering her broadcast from Gaborone with the Botswana Report. And of course, we'll be bringing you the pertinent stories, particularly as Uganda heads into its election. My name is Ashwin Berry. This has been Africa Good Morning. Sweraja Kanaka.